The sun was setting over the quiet fishing village when a group of bikers rolled into town, their loud engines breaking the peaceful calm. They weren't just passing through, they had their sights set on stirring trouble. At the heart of their target was an elderly woman, a fisherman's mom, sitting alone by the pier. The bikers started harassing her, loud voices and unwanted attention disrupting the serene evening. People nearby watched, uneasy and unsure whether to step in. What the bikers didn't know was that her son wasn't just any fisherman's kid. He was a former Navy SEAL, someone trained for the toughest missions and the most dangerous situations. Quiet and reserved, he had returned to this simple town hoping for peace, far away from the chaos of his past life. But when word reached him about the bikers causing trouble, he knew this was no ordinary confrontation. As the bikers grew bolder, mocking and threatening the woman, tension in the air thickened. Nearby fishermen paused their work, sensing something was about to happen. The son's calm but intense presence began to make itself known as he approached the scene. No one could have predicted what would come next. The bikers were about to find out that they'd messed with the wrong family. The peaceful village was about to witness a showdown unlike anything it had ever seen, and the night was far from over. The son, Mark, had always been a man of few words. After years serving as a Navy SEAL, he returned to the fishing village to find a quieter life, one where he could focus on family and the simple routines of the sea. The villagers respected him quietly, some knew his past, but most just saw him as the dependable fisherman's son who never caused trouble. Mark's mother was his world, a kind woman who had raised him with patience and strength, teaching him the value of humility and respect. But tonight was different. The bikers' laughter and jeers cut through the calm, their shadows stretching across the pier as they circled his mother like predators. Mark's heart pounded, but his expression stayed steady. He watched as the bikers mocked the small village, careless and loud, acting like they owned the place. The local fishermen exchanged worried looks but stayed at a distance, unsure how to stop what was happening. Mark stepped forward, his presence drawing the bikers' attention. The leader smirked, underestimating the quiet man approaching. "What's your problem, old man?" One biker sneered, but Mark didn't answer. Instead, he kept his eyes locked on the group, measuring every movement, every tone. The tension between the two sides grew, electric and dangerous. No one knew what Mark was planning next, but the bikers were about to learn that in this village, respect wasn't given freely, and crossing the wrong family had serious consequences. Mark's calm didn't go unnoticed. The leader of the bikers narrowed his eyes, clearly used to getting what he wanted with a bit of intimidation. But Mark wasn't the kind to back down or be pushed around. His years as a Navy SEAL had taught him how to stay cool under pressure, and right now, that was exactly what he was doing. Meanwhile, the other fishermen watched from a distance, whispering among themselves. Some admired Mark's courage, while others worried the situation could spiral out of control. One older fisherman muttered, "Those bikers don't know who they're messing with." But no one wanted to get caught in the middle of a fight. The bikers grew bolder, circling Mark's mother and shouting taunts. One of them grabbed her fishing basket roughly, causing her to stumble. That's when Mark's quiet resolve began to shift. His body tensed, every muscle ready to react, but his voice stayed steady. "Leave her alone, now." The leader laughed, stepping closer, as if daring Mark to make the first move. "Or what?" he sneered. "You think your little Navy tricks scare us?" Behind Mark, the village began to stir. Neighbors peeked from windows, some reaching for phones to call for help, others preparing to intervene if things got worse. The air was thick with tension, the quiet sea breeze barely cutting through the rising storm of hostility. Mark's grip tightened on a nearby fishing pole, but he kept his eyes locked on the bikers. The confrontation was far from over, and the bikers were about to discover that beneath the calm fisherman's exterior was a trained warrior ready to protect his family at all costs. Mark's steady gaze never wavered as the bikers closed in, the tension thick enough to slice through the salty air. The leader's smirk faded, replaced by a flicker of doubt. He glanced at his crew, Noticing their hesitation, some were starting to realize this wasn't going to be an easy fight. The peaceful fishing village suddenly felt charged with danger, and the bikers' usual confidence was slipping away. Mark's mother stood trembling but defiant, gripping her basket tightly. Nearby fishermen quietly gathered tools, nets, ropes, anything that could help. But no one wanted to be the first to escalate the situation. Everyone knew Mark's past, but no one had seen him tested like this. The leader suddenly lunged forward, grabbing Mark's arm roughly. "You're just a fisherman now," he sneered. "What can you do?" But Mark's Navy SEAL training kicked in instantly. With a swift, controlled move, he broke free, sending a clear warning without even raising his voice. The bikers paused, surprised at the precision and calm strength beneath Mark's quiet exterior. The leader growled, "You don't know what you're up against." At that moment, a sharp whistle pierced the air. From the shadows, a group of local fishermen appeared, rallying behind Mark. The balance of power was shifting fast. The bikers hesitated, unsure whether to back down or push their luck. Everyone held their breath. The storm that had been brewing was about to explode, and no one knew how far it would go. Just as the bikers seemed to hesitate, uncertain whether to face Mark and the fishermen united behind him, a sudden roar echoed down the pier. A convoy of motorcycles appeared, much larger and louder than the group that had been harassing Mark's mother. These were not the same bikers. This was their gang, a much more dangerous crew known for causing chaos along the coast. The original bikers froze, exchanging nervous glances as the new group pulled up, engines roaring and headlights cutting through the fading light. The leader of the reinforcements stepped off his bike, his face grim and unreadable. He scanned the scene, his gaze locking on Mark, with a mix of curiosity and challenge. "Looks like things got a little out of hand," he said coolly, stepping forward. "You've got guts, fisherman. But this isn't just about a scuffle, it's about respect, and you're about to learn what that really means." Mark's jaw tightened. This was bigger than a simple confrontation now. The quiet fishing village had become the center of a brewing storm, and the stakes were higher than ever. The fishermen behind Mark tensed, gripping their makeshift tools, ready to stand their ground. The bikers who had caused the trouble moments ago looked to their reinforcements for guidance. The tension in the air grew heavier, the quiet village no longer feeling safe or simple. Mark knew this was far from over. The fight for his mother's safety, and the respect of his home, was about to reach a dangerous new level. The tension snapped like a frayed rope as Mark stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "You want respect, you're looking at it." The leader of the reinforcements smirked, clearly expecting a fight. But Mark wasn't here to start one. With years of Navy SEAL training behind him, he knew how to de-escalate when possible and strike when necessary. Suddenly, Mark's stance shifted, moving with lightning speed to disarm the leader of his oversized knife. The other bikers hesitated, stunned by his precision and control. Mark didn't throw a punch, but used his martial arts skills to incapacitate the leader quickly and efficiently. The rest of the bikers froze, realizing they were outmatched. Seeing their leader subdued, the original group's confidence crumbled and they backed away. The fishermen rallied behind Mark, their presence now a solid wall of protection. The reinforcements, stunned by Mark's unexpected skill and calm, retreated one by one, their roar of engines fading into the night. Just when it seemed the danger had passed, Mark's mother stepped forward, revealing a small weathered box she kept hidden. Inside were medals and letters proving Mark's military service and the sacrifices he'd made. The bikers' faces shifted from anger to shock as they realized they had underestimated not just a fisherman, but a decorated Navy SEAL with a black belt in martial arts. The village breathed a collective sigh of relief, but Mark knew this moment was more than just about defense. It was about reclaiming peace and respect in a world that too often overlooked quiet strength. After the bikers finally rode away, the quiet fishing village slowly returned to its peaceful rhythm. The neighbors who had gathered began to disperse, their whispered conversations filled with admiration for Mark's calm strength and quick action. Mark's mother smiled softly, proud not only of her son's skills, but of the man he had become, someone who used his strength to protect, not provoke. Mark looked out over the water, feeling the weight of the night's events settle. It wasn't just about standing up to bullies. It was about protecting family, community, and the values that made this village home. The fishermen who had stood with him felt a renewed sense of unity, knowing that when pushed, they could count on each other. In the days that followed, stories about the former Navy SEAL who defended his mother spread quietly through town and beyond. But Mark remained humble, preferring to focus on the simple life he'd chosen. The medals and letters his mother had shown were not trophies to him. They were reminders of discipline, sacrifice, and resilience. This night taught the village an important lesson. Respect isn't demanded through fear, but earned through courage and integrity. And sometimes, the strongest protectors are the ones who blend quietly into the background until the moment they're needed most. As the sun rose the next morning, Mark and his mother returned to their peaceful routine, the bonds between family and community stronger than ever. Proof that true strength lies in standing up for what matters, no matter the odds.